Can the Arizona Cardinals leave the first round in the 2025 NFL Draft with two first-round picks? Well, there's a source out there that truly believes that the Arizona Cardinals can trade back up into the first round to potentially target a developmental position. Let's go ahead and dive into exactly what that means and who can be available in the later part of the first round. Let's get started. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back into another video. Definitely do me a huge favor, smack up that like button and subscribe for more Arizona Cardinals content. On this channel, we're covering the Arizona Cardinals news, breaking news, conversational pieces, everything surrounding your favorite team. So subscribe it up. It's absolutely for free. But ladies and gentlemen, we are today going to talk about a report slash, I guess, rumor, that we heard a little earlier today about potentially the Arizona Cardinals potentially trading back in the first round, in the later part of the first round, and potentially getting two first-round picks. But let me give a shout-out here to Josh Weinfuss here of ESPN, which was exactly the source that I ended up hearing from to begin with. He ended up saying this: a source told me today that it wouldn't be a surprise if the Cardinals trade back into the later portion of the first round to target a developmental position. Now, a lot of questions to be asked in this specific tweet right now. A lot of people had a lot of questions, and a lot of people kind of got response back here by Josh Weinfuss because it was a little confusing in terms of the wording, but he is saying the Cardinals, or at least what he has heard from a specific source, that don't be shocked or don't be surprised that after the Cardinals make their position or their pick at 16, that they can very well trade back into the first round for a developmental position. Right now, we don't exactly know what that means. What I kind of take away from this whole post slash tweet is that the Cardinals are probably targeting a late first round pick that could potentially be there. Right now, we don't know what's going to happen within the first 1 through 15 picks. We know what's going to happen at 16 once the first 15 is decided, but we don't exactly know what's going to happen 17 through whenever the Cardinals decide to potentially trade up. Now, we've heard a lot of different things about the Cardinals, potentially trading back with their 16th overall, but I never heard that the Cardinals could potentially trade back up with their second rounder and maybe use some future assets to go back into the first round. That obviously that leaves a level of excitement, that leaves a level of intrigue, because if Monty Austinford can truly pull something off like this, you're talking about leaving the first round with potentially two first round picks and potentially two first round talent. And that's great. That would be absolutely amazing. Now, of course, it's all hearsay, it's all speculation, it's all rumors, but it really kind of got me thinking, right? What can the Arizona Cardinals potentially do if they were to trade back up, and who can they potentially target at that position? Right now, of course, when you're doing a lot of different mock drafts, you're using PFF or any other mock draft simulator, you're getting a good dosage of a lot of different prospects falling to the early part of the second round. Now, can the Cardinals trade back up to the first round? Absolutely. But can they also trade back or trade up in the first part of the second round? Of course, we've seen multiple different talented players that are first round caliber players that unfortunately fall to the second round because of, let's say, for example, a run on wide receivers, a run on quarterbacks, a run on defensive linemen, which this draft class is supposed to be a very, very deep defensive line class, a very, very big, intriguing situation to find ourselves in right now. And what does Monty Austinford have up his sleeve? Now, I want to be very clear. This is all a rumor, and this is all kind of hearsay per a specific unknown source. But hey, I mean, if somebody's saying that, then there must have some sort of legs or some sort of truth to the situation. Now, if this were to happen, then the board needs to fall exactly the way that the Cardinals hope that it falls to, right? So let's talk about potential needs the Arizona Cardinals have heading into the 2025 season. Now, as of right now, I truly believe that the Arizona Cardinals are in a situation where I think I have a little bit more question marks about the offense than I do about the defense. And that's so completely 180 degree, because I was more concerned with the defense heading into the 2024 season, and now heading into the 2025 season. I honestly think that there's a little bit more question marks for the offensive side of the ball, heading into 2025. Now, obviously, with the draft, that can, fix a lot of needs. But if you take a look at developmental positions, right, what could that mean? Here's the biggest needs for the Arizona Cardinals right now, right? Offensive linemen, throughout that entire offensive lineman, with the exception of probably the left tackle and center position right now, there's a lot of unknown, right? There's a lot of unknown with the offensive line. Now, yes, we do have Evan Brown, and I think he actually played a pretty good job, but he's not the future for the Cardinals, right? He's going to be 1-2 year band aid. You also got Jonah Williams. I believe he's on his last deal. And then you got a potential rookie guard going to step into that other position opposite side of Evan Brown, right? So we do got a lot of question marks surrounding that offensive line. And you can also say the Cardinals can go center, right, in the later parts of the draft and get a center of the future, right? So anything could happen. And then on top of that, wide receiver. I'm going to be one of those guys that's going to be completely talking about this over and over again. Let's live in a world right now that, yes, maybe the Cardinals don't go wide receiver with the 16th overall pick, right? Let's say they do what most everybody wants them to do, and that is going after a defensive lineman with that 16th overall pick. Let's say, for example, there is a wide receiver that they truly like, actually fall to the later part of the first round. I say the Cardinals trade up and potentially get a wide receiver and doubling down, getting another weapon for their current quarterback in Kyler Murray, right? Maybe that might be a situation where the Cardinals go, or maybe they do get themselves an offensive lineman if they go defensive lineman with the 16th overall pick, right? So a lot of different question marks surrounding this developmental position, right? We don't know exactly what that means, other than the fact that this is a player that potentially can be a first rounder, borderline second rounder, but the Cardinals really like him, and hopefully other teams around the NFL don't like him as much as the Cardinals do, right? Now, defensive line, I do believe that's still a need for the future, but I do think that Monty Ossenfort did a fantastic job this offseason to, kind of fill in the holes and fill in the gaps to where our defensive line is night and day better from 2024 to now going into 2025. As long as they can stay healthy, we have a much better defensive line than the 2024 season, bar none, right? And then you got the middle linebacker position as well, and that's going to be the Akeem Gaither-Davis position, where right now I believe he's slated to be the Mike linebacker for the Arizona Cardinals. And it's not one of those things that I don't trust him. It's just there's a lot of unknown when it comes down to him specifically as a player. Now, when Kazir White came in, there was a lot of unknown. He worked out for the Cardinals, and he's still available as a free agent. He probably won't come back as a Cardinal, but he shocked a lot of Cardinal fans. And then you had Mac Wilson Sr., which there's a lot of unknown with him as well. He got his opportunity, and he turned out to be very, very good. So hopefully Akeem Davis-Gaither can be that guy for us as well. And then, if you did not remember, the Cardinals also signed another linebacker as well in Michael Walker as well. So the Cardinals have brought in some positions in the middle linebacker role, but maybe they want to go younger. That can very well be a potential there. But these are going to be my big position of needs right now. And I know there's going to be somebody running to the comments right now saying, "Oh, developmental position that can very well be a quarterback." Well, yeah, honestly, that you ain't wrong. You ain't wrong. I didn't want to put them on my list here, but I think anything is on the table. Now, is it realistic for the Cardinals to do that? If they did something like that, then that would just be completely like throwing something out of left field. The things that we've heard right now from Jonathan Gannon and Monty Ossenfort is they are truly backing Kyler Murray and heading to the 2025 season saying that you are our quarterback, right? Now, obviously, things change from year to year, and we have seen teams make a crazy move, right? Getting a quarterback in the second round, first round, and completely kind of shake up the roster, right? With the moves that are made here in the draft night. I don't think that's going to happen with the Arizona Cardinals per se, but if you're going to run to the comments and say quarterback can potentially be that need as well, sure, right? Sure. But these are the ones right now I'm really looking at: offensive line, defensive line, wide receiver, and middle linebacker for the Cardinals to potentially trade up to get themselves a developmental position. Because if you think about it, right, let's say the Cardinals do go defensive line, right? Let's say they go defensive line with the 16th overall. They trade back up in the first round, and then they get themselves a tackle, right? Or they get themselves a guard in the later part. Maybe it is, a Booker out there, right? Booker, guard out of Alabama, which is a guy that can be borderline late first rounder, borderline early second rounder, right? Maybe the Cardinals go somewhere that direction where they do bring themselves a guard out of Alabama. Maybe they like him a lot. So this can go any which direction, but I do think this is very exciting and very enticing, and something that would be really cool for the Arizona Cardinals to potentially do something like this, because, man, right now we have 6 draft picks, but if the Cardinals can leave this with potentially 2 borderline or a first rounder and a borderline first round pick, I feel like that would be absolutely amazing. But it also depends on what the Cardinals gave up at the end of the day. So they must really like somebody if they do decide to trade up. But I think at the end of the day, it's all just going to depend on how the board falls, right? That's just going to be it. How the board falls is going to be very, very important. Let's just hope, fingers crossed, that there's going to be a crazy run at the quarterback position. And we have 4 quarterbacks going in the first round, because that just means more talent drops to the later part of the first round, and obviously drops to the 16th overall pick as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, what are your overall thoughts here on the latest rumor that we've been hearing about the Cardinals potentially trading up to land a developmental position slash player? Let me know in the comments below, who would you want that player to be? Let me know in the comments below. I appreciate y'all for tuning in as always. Have a great rest of your day, and go Cardinals.